Okay, squabble up, bougie moms. Let me spill some tea for how to reinforce clarity. If you can do this, you will make more money. But how do you do this? How do you introduce clarity? Well, stick around. If you're gonna listen all the way through, you're gonna be able to maximize your chances of success by doubling down on the concept of clarity. Now, of course, you should already probably know from my previous threads, stories that I tend to spill directly in this TikTok channel, you probably have already noticed that in my particular case, I was able to introduce clarity by discovering a problem, which is stress. After canceling out that stress problem, I was able to introduce clarity. Once that underlying problem disappeared, I started getting exponential results in a very short amount of time. After going through close to a year and a half of trials, failures, triumphs, and tribulations. You don't need to do this, guys. If you listen all the way through the end of this workshop, you will be able to introduce clarity into your offer. Okay? So step one, use monotonic, slow, passive voice with a good amount of pacing and spikes, occasional spikes of quirks and personalities as you developing that thread's story. The place where you develop that thread's story is gonna be in ta-da! Threads. This is where you create a very powerful thread that starts off with something. Well, sometimes they refer to it as a hook, but in case you are wondering what is the most powerful hook, the most powerful hook is when you give something not for free, but give something beyond free. So what can that be? In my particular case, I'm giving away an opportunity to be connected with one or multiple feudal lords, luxury brand owners, that gives flexibility for moms to work at their own pace, reduce stress, and get faster results working less and gaining more. How's that possible? And how can you develop this thread's story to introduce clarity? That is what I'm gonna quickly cover. And here's what you want to do as you follow the feudal system framework and practicing building your own feudal kingdom, your brand. What you want to be doing, you want to be introducing stories, or should I say one story, one thread's story. And as you starting off this thread's story, you provide a feudal share, a token of opportunity for other people. That should be your hook based on the feudal system framework. Now, what is the feudal system framework and why is this such a game changer? Well, when I started using it, 2 months later, Pepsi, billion-dollar company, created a drink after my company's name. It's called Fit Infusion. Give it a shot, guys, whenever you have a chance. Try it out. It was a summer edition by Mountain Dew. So obviously some of you will say, well, how does it help me? Well, after going through a year and a half of trials, failures, and tribulations in my journey building my feudal kingdom, I came to a realization that if you follow the feudal system in practice and execute exactly as I say, as you build this threads story, as you develop it further, you are reflecting, learning, executing, mentoring, and squashing atomic habits as you do so across multiple platforms. And trust me, as you continuously navigate through those treacherous high cardinality, heterogeneous complexities, you will find yourself constantly looping in an infinite chase for fulfillment, so one day you can finally feel that transcendence that is soul piercing within you. And it's the flow, it's the addiction to a common task that you have got familiar with, that you don't want to deviate from, yet it's pulling you down. It's keeping you as a process prisoner without you even recognizing, chasing the information that should have never been chased in the first place, chasing the feeling of fulfillment versus the logically oriented steps that you must follow to grow your audience as you develop a threads story. And when you develop that threads story, how do you place this entire feudal system into action? How do you, I'm sure you guys are already familiar with feudal system, but the definition of the feudal system, but how do you execute it in practice? Well, as you develop your threads story, you're going to be dropping in multiple socials into that thread. Your YouTube, your Pinterest, your LinkedIn, your TikTok, your another TikTok, your another thread account, your Buy Me Coffee page. And as you're building each story, you're encircling all of those different socials in one thread to make it super powerful. By doing this, you are creating what's called the distribution strategy, one story at a time. This introduces incredible amount of clarity. People out of a sudden be able to follow. They're out of a sudden able to navigate to your socials, creating snowball effect. The snowball effect that you can maximize even further by introducing well-researched trend-related hooks. For that, as I talked about in the previous video, I created a research assistant that can help you discover those trends. So this way you can work less, yet get more, without working harder and working smarter. If you guys wanted to get access to this research assistant blueprint and finally start discovering that freedom, and if you want to see an example of that threads story that I just described, and if you want to see how I'm developing that threads story, just one story, but the elements being included inside of that story are just mind-breaking. If you look at that story, guys, you will quickly understand how this works. And once you apply it for your feudal kingdom, you will finally discover the freedom you've been seeking for. You will increase your sales. You will finally going to be able to convert $1 into 3. You will finally discover the chance, the hope, the opportunity that you've been looking for all along. Yet nobody was able to piece this together for you until you've seen this video. If you want to learn more, DM PAF on my Insta. I'd love to help you out. And of course, I want to share with you this thread story, so this way you could check it out for yourself. But as it goes for me, I actually have to drop this mirror because apparently it's broken. So I need to repair it or get another vanity or try to figure it out what am I going to do with it. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time.